May 3rd, 1999. To those outside of Oklahoma, this date means very little. But to those of us Okies who survived the second largest tornado outbreak in history, May 3rd is forever branded into our collective conscious. That day, over 60 tornadoes swept across the southern plains, with the vast majority being in central Oklahoma. Many of the tornadoes were strong, and at least 4 were violent F5s. Most people remember the Bridge Creek Moore tornado, which still holds the world record for highest wind speed on the planet Earth, somewhere around 300 miles per hour. That tornado lasted well over an hour, claimed the lives of over 30 people. Interestingly, that tornado was really only the beginning of the outbreak, as many more tornadoes occurred well after dark. The most impressive of these was the Mulhall tornado, which was well over a mile in diameter. What's up, everybody? How's it going? How's everybody feeling tonight? That light's pretty harsh, man. That light is pretty harsh. Let's de-harshify that light, shall we? That's much better. What happened to the tornado? Fucking, you got me, man. Hello, hello, hello. Good evening to you all. It is nice to see you once again, joining me here for a little bit of story time. Multicolored bulbs, I know. How terrible. You just want like harsh white light on my pimply head. Is that how you want to do this? Is that how you want to do this? Can you read Psychosis? Well, maybe. I've only really got one creepypasta, I think, that I really want to read tonight. So let's do that. Let's see. Psychosis. I remember people asking me to read this last time. 22-minute reading time? Damn, dude. That is kind of yeah. I think we'll do it. I think we'll do it. You know, we read a few long ones the last time. We read a few short ones. You know, people are saying this is a pretty good one. It looks like it's got a decent rating. It's an 8.1 out of 10. 1,400 votes. But, yeah. I think it sounds like a winner. We'll give it a shot. Oh, yeah. My brother died when I was a child. He kept talking. Yeah. I've heard that one read before. It's pretty good, but there's a lot of like child dialogue in it. And man, dude, I'll just die like halfway through it. If I have to be doing this, like I can only keep this up for so fucking long. But yeah, maybe. It is a really good one. So maybe worth checking out. But yeah, the scenery and stuff is cool. It's kind of a pretty intimate description of hell, I guess. Upstairs is really short. Okay. Maybe we'll start with a short one tonight. Maybe we'll start with a short one tonight, and then we'll lead it into this psychosis. So let me check out Upstairs, okay? We'll check it out. Upstairs. Okay, we'll give it a shot. I'll take this one on faith. Yeah. This creepypasta is called Upstairs. When I was a child, I lived in a rented 2-floor house. Both my parents worked, so I was often alone when I came home from school. One early evening when I came home, the house was still dark. I called out, "Hey, Mom!" And I heard a voice say, "Yes," from upstairs. I called my mom again and got the same "yes" reply. I felt she was calling back at me, so I climbed up the stairs. When I reached the first floor, I called her once more, and the voice, "Yes," came from the furthest room. I felt both uneasy, but also a strong urge to see my mother, and so I started to walk towards the room. Just as I was about to open the door into the room, I heard the front door downstairs open and my mother come in. She was carrying a lot of shopping bags. "Sweetie, are you home?" my mother called in a cheery voice. Hearing her voice made me feel instantly better, and I turned back to go back downstairs at once. But not before I had a quick glance towards the room. While I watched from the top of the stairs, the door to the room slowly opened a crack. And for a brief moment, I saw something strange there. Just a pale face staring back at me. It's pretty spooky. I think I've heard that one before. Yeah. I think I've heard that one before, or read it. But pretty good. That was pretty... What do you think was in there? You know? Like, because you can speculate about that type of shit. Like, you know, whoever authored this creepypasta, as they were authoring it, what do you think was behind the door? A goblin? It was it? Oh, you think it was Pennywise back there? Maybe. Some imitating being? That reminds me, actually. It's not even a creepypasta about an imitating being. I think it's... yeah, we'll just keep this one open as well. This one's, wow, that's pretty long as well. So I got 2 long ones on deck. But I guess we'll be in need of some short ones for tonight as well. His real mother. Oh, that, my friend, is spooky. That is, you got me with that one. Hey Paul, Starbucks offered me a job today. I know you've discussed your experience in the past, but could you give me any advice on the prospect of working there? It's totally decent, man. You know, it's not easy. Like, you're going to be running around like a crazy fuck all day, but it can be a rewarding job. They take good care of their employees, so good luck. Take it. Hello, Galen. Galen is in the house for the creepy, spooky night. Yes. What a scary night it is indeed. Let's get some mood lighting here. All right, that's enough Bach. We've had enough Bach. I guess we could load ourselves up with some good creepypasta music and tackle one of these long ones here. I don't see any reason to put it off any further. So, without further ado, by request, this creepypasta is called Psychosis. Sunday. I'm not sure why I'm writing this down on paper and not on my computer. I guess I've just noticed some odd things. It's not that I don't trust the computer, I just need to organize my thoughts. I need to get down all the details somewhere objective, somewhere I know that what I write can't be deleted or changed. Not that that's happened, it's just everything blurs together in here and the fog of memory leads to a strange cast. I'm starting to feel cramped up in this small apartment. I mean, maybe that's the problem. I just had to go and choose the cheapest apartment, the one in the basement. The lack of windows down here makes day and night seem to slip by seamlessly. I haven't been out in a few days because I've been working on this programming project so intensively. I suppose I wanted to just get it done. Hours of sitting, staring at this monitor can make anyone feel strange, I know, but I don't think that's it. I'm not sure when I first started to feel like something was odd. and I can't even define what it is. I mean, maybe I just haven't talked to someone in a while. I mean, that's the first thing that crept up on me. I mean, everyone I normally talk to online when I program has been idle, or they've been simply not logged in at all. My instant messages go unanswered. The last email I got from anybody was a friend saying he'd talk to me when we got back from the store, and that was yesterday. I'd call with my phone, but the reception's terrible down here. I mean, that's it. I could just call someone. I'm gonna go outside. Well, that didn't work so well. As the tingle of fear fades, I'm feeling a little ridiculous for being scared at all. I looked in the mirror before I went out, but I didn't shave the 2-day stubble I've grown. I figured I was just going out for a quick cell phone call. I did change my shirt, though, because it was lunchtime, and I guess that I'd run into at least one person I knew. That didn't end up happening. I kind of wish it did. When I went out, I opened the door to my small apartment slowly. A small feeling of apprehension had somehow already lodged itself in me, and for some indefinable reason, I just chalked it up to not having spoken to anyone but myself for a day or two. I peered down the dingy gray hallway, made dingier by the fact that it was a basement hallway. On the one end, this large metal door led to my building's furnace room, and it was locked, of course. 2 dreary soda machines stood by it. I bought a soda from one the first day I moved in, but it had a 2-year-old expiration date. I'm fairly sure nobody knows those machines are even down here. My cheap landlady just doesn't care to get them restocked. I closed my door softly and I walked the other direction, taking care not to make a sound. I have no idea why I chose to do that, but it was fun giving into the strange impulse to not break the droning hum of the soda machines, at least for the moment. I got to the stairwell, took the stairs up to the building's front door. I looked through the heavy door's small square window and received quite the shock. It was definitely not lunchtime. City gloom hung over the dark street outside, and the traffic lights at the intersection in the distance blinked yellow. Dim clouds, purple and black from the glow of the city, hung overhead. Nothing moved save the few sidewalk trees that shifted in the wind. I remember shivering, though I wasn't cold. I mean, maybe it was the wind outside. I could vaguely hear it through the heavy metal door, and I knew that it was that unique kind of late-night wind. I decided not to go outside. Instead, I lifted my cell phone to the door's little window and I checked the signal meter. And the bars filled up the meter and I smiled. Time to hear someone else's voice, I remember thinking, relieved. It was just such a strange thing to be afraid of nothing. I shook my head, laughing at myself silently. I hit speed dial for my best friend Amy's number. Held the phone up to my ear. It rang once, but then it stopped. Nothing happened. I listened to a silence for a good 20 seconds, and then I hung up. Frowning, I looked at the signal meter again, still full. I went to dial her number again, but then my phone rang in my hand, startling me, so I put it up to my ear. "Hello?" I asked, immediately fighting down a small shock at hearing the first spoken voice in days, even if it was my own. I'd gotten used to the droning hum of the building's inner workings, my computer, the soda machine in the hallway. There was no response to my greeting at first, but then finally, a voice came. "Hey," said a clear male voice, obviously of college age, like me. Who's this? John, I replied, confused. Oh, sorry, wrong number, he replied, then hung up. I lowered the phone slowly and leaned against the thick brick wall of the stairwell. Now that was strange. I looked at my received calls list, but the number was unfamiliar. Before I could think on it further, the phone rang loudly, shocking me yet again. This time, I looked at the caller before I answered, and it was another unfamiliar number. This time, I held the phone up to my ear but said nothing. And I heard nothing but, the general background noise of a phone. And then a familiar voice broke my tension. John was the single word. It was Amy's voice. I breathed a sigh of relief. Hey, it's you, I replied. Who else would it be? She responded. Oh, the number. I'm at a party on 7th Street. My phone died just as you called me. It's someone else's phone, obviously. Oh, okay, I said. Where are you? She asked. My eyes glanced over the drab, whitewashed cinder block walls and the heavy metal door with its small window. At my building, I sighed, just feeling cooped up. Didn't realize it was so late. You should come here, she said, laughing. Nah, I don't feel like looking for some strange place by myself in the middle of the night, I said, looking out the window at the silent, windy street that secretly scared me just a tiny bit. I think I'm just gonna keep working or, I don't know, go to bed. Nonsense, she replied. I can come get you. Your building's close to 7th Street, right? How drunk are you? I asked lightheartedly. You know where I live. Oh, of course, she said abruptly. I guess I can't get there by walking, huh? You could if you wanted to waste like half an hour, I told her. Right, she said. Okay, gotta go. Good luck with your work. I lowered the phone, looking at the numbers flash as the call ended. Then the droning silence suddenly reasserted itself in my ears. The two strange calls and an eerie street outside just drove home my aloneness in this empty stairwell. Perhaps from having seen too many scary movies, I had the sudden, inexplicable idea that something could look in the door's window and see me. Some sort of horrible entity that hovered at the edge of aloneness, just waiting to creep up on unsuspecting people that strayed too far from other human beings. I knew the fear was irrational, but nobody else was around, so I jumped down the stairs, ran down the hallway into my room. Just closed the door as swiftly as I could while staying silent. Like I said, I feel a little ridiculous for being scared of nothing, and the fear has already faded. Writing this down helps a lot. Makes me realize that nothing's wrong. It filters out half-formed thoughts and fears and leaves only cold, hard facts. It's late. I got a call from a wrong number, and Amy's phone died, so she called me back from another number. Nothing strange is happening. Still, there's something a little off about that conversation. I know it could have just been the alcohol she'd had, or was it even her that seemed off to me? Or was it... Yeah, that was it. I didn't realize until this moment, writing these things down, I knew writing things down would help. She said she was at a party, but only heard silence in the background. Of course, that didn't mean anything in particular, as she could have just gone outside to make the call. No, that couldn't be it either. I didn't hear the wind. I need to see if the wind is still blowing. Monday. I forgot to finish writing last night. I'm not sure what I expected to see when I ran up the stairwell and looked out the heavy metal door's window. I'm feeling ridiculous. Last night's fear seems hazy and unreasonable to me now, and I can't wait to go out into the sunlight. I'm gonna check my email, shave, shower, finally get out of here. Oh, hold on. I think I heard something. It was thunder. That whole sunlight and fresh air thing didn't happen. I went out into the stairwell and up the stairs only to find disappointment. The heavy metal door's little window showed only flowing water as torrential rain slammed against it. Only a very dim, gloomy light filtered in through the rain, but at least I knew it was daytime, even if it was a gray, sickly, wet day. I tried looking out the window and waiting for lightning to illuminate the gloom, but the rain was too heavy, and I couldn't make out anything more than vague shapes moving at odd angles and the waves washing down the window. Disappointed, I turned around, but I didn't want to go back to my room, so instead I wandered further up the stairs, past the first floor and the second. The stairs ended at the third floor, the highest floor in my building. I looked through the glass that ran up the outer wall of the stairwell, but it was that warped, thick kind of glass that scatters the light. Not that there was much to see through the rain to begin with. I opened the stairwell door and wandered down the hallway. 10 or so thick wooden doors, painted blue a long time ago, were all closed. I listened as I walked, but it was the middle of the day, so I wasn't surprised that I heard nothing but the rain outside. As I stood there in the dim hallway, listening to this rain, I had the strange, fleeting impression that the doors were standing like silent granite monoliths erected by some ancient, forgotten civilization and some unfathomable guardian purpose. Jesus Christ. Lightning flashed. I could have sworn that, for a moment, the old grainy blue wood looked just like rough stone. I laughed at myself for letting my imagination get the best of me, but then it occurred to me that this dim gloom and lightning must mean there was a window somewhere in the hallway. A vague memory surfaced, and I suddenly recalled that the third floor had an alcove and an inset window halfway down the floor's hallway. Excited to look out into the rain and possibly see another human being, I quickly walked over to the alcove. I found the large, thin glass window. Rain washed down it, as with the front door's window, but I could open this one. I reached a hand out to slide it open, but I hesitated. I had the strangest feeling that if I opened that window, I would see something absolutely horrifying on the other side. I don't know, everything's been so odd lately, so I came up with a plan. And I came back here to get what I needed. I don't seriously think anything will come of it, but I'm bored. It's raining, and I'm going stir crazy. I came back to get my webcam. The cord isn't long enough to reach the third floor by any means, so instead I'm going to hide it between the two soda machines in the dark end of my basement hallway, run the wire along the wall under my door, and put black duct tape over the wire to blend it in with the black plastic strip that runs along the base of these hallways' walls. I know this is silly, but I don't have anything better to do. Well, nothing happened. I propped open the hallway to stairwell door, steeled myself, flung the heavy door wide open, and I ran like hell down the stairs to my room and I slammed the door. I watched the webcam on my computer intently, seeing the hallway outside my door and most of the stairwell. I'm watching it right now, and I don't see anything interesting. I just wish the camera's position was different so that I could see out the front door. Well, somebody's online. I got out an older, less functional webcam that I had in my closet to chat with my friend online. I couldn't really explain to him why I wanted to video chat, but it felt good to see another person's face. He couldn't talk for very long, and we didn't talk about anything meaningful, but I felt much better. My strange fears almost passed. I would feel completely better, but there was something odd about our conversation. I know that I've said that everything has seemed odd, but still, he was very vague in his responses. I can't recall one specific thing that he said. No particular name or place or event. I mean, he did ask for my email address to keep in touch. Wait, I just got an email. I'm about to go out. I just got an email from Amy that asked me to meet her for dinner at the place we usually go. I do love pizza, and I've just been eating random food from my poorly stocked fridge for days, so I can't wait. Again, I feel ridiculous about the odd couple of days I've been having. I should destroy this journal when I get back. Oh, just got another email. Oh my god. I almost left the email and opened the door. I almost opened the door, but I read the email first. It was from a friend I hadn't heard from in a long time, and it was sent to a huge number of emails that must have been every person he had saved in his address list. It had no subject, and it said simply, "Seen with your own eyes, don't trust them, they." What the hell is that supposed to mean? The words shock me, and I keep going over and over them. Is it a desperate email sent as something happened? I mean, the words are obviously cut off without finishing. On any other day, I would have dismissed this as spam from a computer virus or something, but the words, "seen with your own eyes," I can't help but read over this journal and think back to the last few days and realize that I have not seen another person with my own eyes or talked to another person face to face. The webcam conversation with my friend was so strange, so vague, so eerie, and now that I think about it, was it even eerie? Or is the fear clouding my memory? My mind toys with the progression of events I've written here, pointing out that I have not been presented with one single fact that I did not specifically give out unsuspectingly. The random wrong number that got my name and the subsequent strange return call from Amy. The friend that asked for my email address. I messaged him first when I saw him online, and then I got my first email a few minutes after that conversation. Oh my god. That phone call with Amy, I said over the phone, I said I was within a half-hour's walk of 7th Street. They know what I'm near. What if they're trying to find me? Where is everyone? Why haven't I seen or heard anyone else in days? No, this is crazy. It's just crazy. I need to calm down. This madness needs to end. I don't know what to think. I ran about my apartment furiously, holding my cell phone up to every corner to see if it got a signal through the heavy walls, and finally, in my tiny little bathroom near one ceiling corner, I got a single bar. Holding my phone there, I sent a text message to every number in my list. Not wanting to betray anything about my unfounded fears, I simply sent, "Have you seen anyone face to face lately?" At that point, I just wanted any reply back. I didn't care what the reply was, or if I embarrassed myself. I tried to call someone a few times, but I couldn't get my head up high enough, and if I brought my cell phone down even an inch, it lost signal. Then, I remembered the computer, and I rushed over to it, instant messaging everyone online. Most were idle or away from computer. Nobody responded. My messages grew more frantic, and I started telling people where I was and to stop by in person for a host of barely passable reasons. I didn't care about anything at that point. I just needed to see another person. I also tore apart my apartment looking for something that I might have missed. Some way to contact another human being without opening my door. Look, I know it's crazy. I know it's unfounded, but what if? What if? I just need to be sure. I taped the phone to the ceiling in case. Tuesday. The phone rang. I was exhausted from last night's rampage. I must have fallen asleep. I woke up to the phone ringing and ran into the bathroom. I stood on the toilet and flipped open the phone taped to the ceiling. It was Amy, and I feel so much better. She was really worried about me and apparently been trying to contact me since the last time I talked to her. She's coming over now, and yes, she knows where I am without me telling her. I feel so embarrassed. I'm definitely throwing this journal away before anyone sees it. I don't even know why I'm writing in it now. Maybe it's just because it's the only communication I've had at all since God knows when. I look like hell, too. I looked in the mirror before I came back in here. My eyes are sunken. My stubble is thicker. I just look generally unhealthy. My apartment's trashed, but I'm not going to clean it up. I think I need someone else to see what I've been through. These past few days have not been normal. I'm not one to imagine things. I know I've been the victim of extreme probability. I probably missed seeing another person a dozen times. I just happened to go out when it was late at night or the middle of the day when everyone was gone. Everything's perfectly fine. I know this now. Plus, I found something in the closet last night that has helped me tremendously. A TV. I set it up before I wrote this, and it's on in the background. Television has always been an escape for me, and it reminds me that there's a world beyond these dingy brick walls. I'm glad Amy's the only one that responded to me after last night's frantic pestering of everyone I could contact. She's been my best friend for years. She doesn't know it, but I count the day that I met her among one of the few moments of true happiness in my life. I remember that warm summer day fondly. Seems a different reality from this dark, rainy, lonely place. I feel like I spent days sitting in that playground, much too old to play, just talking with her and hanging around and doing nothing at all. Still feel I can go back to that moment sometimes, and reminds me that this damn place is not all there is. And finally, I hear a knock on the door. I thought it was odd that I couldn't see her through the camera I hid between the two soda machines. Figured it was bad positioning, like when I couldn't see out the front door. I should have known. After the knock, I yelled through the door jokingly that I had a camera between the soda machines, because I was embarrassed myself that I had taken this paranoia so far. After I did that, I saw her image walk over to the camera and look down at it. She smiled and waved. "Hey," she said into the camera brightly, giving it a wry look. "It's weird, I know," I said to the mic attached to my computer. "I've just had a weird few days." "Must have," she replied. "Open the door, John." I hesitated. How could I be sure? "Hey, humor me a second here," I told her through the mic. "Tell me one thing about us. Just prove to me that you're you." She gave the camera a weird look. All right," she said slowly, thinking. "We met randomly at a playground when we were both way too old to be there." I sighed deeply as reality returned and fear faded. I'd been so ridiculous. Of course it was Amy. That day wasn't anywhere in the world except my memory. I'd never even mentioned it to anyone. Not out of embarrassment, but out of a strange secret nostalgia and a longing for those days to return. It was some unknown force at work trying to trick me, as I feared. There was no way they could know about that day. "All right, I'll explain everything," I told her. "Be right there." I ran to my small bathroom and fixed my hair as best I could. I looked like hell, but she'd understand. Snickering in my own unbelievable behavior and the mess I'd made of the place, I walked to the front door. I put my hand on the doorknob and gave the mess one last look. So ridiculous, I thought. My eyes trace over the half-eaten food laying on the ground, overflowing trash, the bed I'd tipped to the side looking for... I don't even remember what. I almost turned to the door and opened it, but my eyes fell on one last thing. The old webcam, the one I used for that eerie vacant chat with my friend. Its silent black sphere lay haphazardly tossed to the side, its lens pointed at the table where this journal lay. An overwhelming terror took me as I realized that if something could see through that camera, it would have seen what I'd wrote about that day. I asked her for any one thing about us, and she chose the only thing in the world that I thought they or it did not know, but it did. It did know, because it was watching me the whole time. I didn't open the door. I screamed. I screamed in uncontrollable terror. I stomped on the old webcam on the floor. The door shook and the doorknob tried to turn, but I didn't even hear Amy's voice through the door. Was the basement door made to keep out drafts too thick? Or was Amy just not outside? What could have been trying to get in if not her? What the hell is out there? I saw her on my computer through the camera outside. I heard her on the speakers through the camera outside. But was it real? How can I know? She's gone now. I screamed and shouted for help. I piled up everything in my apartment against the front door. Friday. At least I think it's Friday. I broke everything electronic. I smashed my computer to pieces. Every single thing on there could have been accessed by network access or worse, altered. I'm a programmer, I know. Every little piece of information I gave out since this started, my name, my email, my location, none of it came back from outside until I gave it out. I've been going over and over what I wrote. I've been pacing back and forth, alternating between stark terror and overpowering disbelief. I mean, sometimes I'm absolutely certain some phantom entity is dead set on the simple goal of getting me to go outside. Back to the beginning with the phone call with Amy, she was effectively asking me to open the door and go outside. I kept running through it in my head. One point of view says I've acted like a madman, and all of this is the extreme convergence of probability. Never going outside at the right times by pure luck, never seeing another person by pure chance, getting a random nonsense email from some computer virus at just the right time. The other point of view says that extreme convergence of probability is the reason that whatever's out there hasn't gotten me already. I keep thinking, I never opened the window on the third floor. I never opened the front door until that incredibly stupid stunt with the hidden camera, after which I ran straight to my room and slammed the door. I haven't opened my own solid door since I flung open the front door of the building. Whatever's out there, if anything's out there, never made an appearance in the building before I opened the front door. Maybe the reason it wasn't in the building already was that it was elsewhere getting everyone else, and then it waited until I betrayed my existence by trying to call Amy. A call which didn't work until it called me and asked me my name. Terror literally overwhelms me every time I try and fit the pieces of this nightmare together. That email, short, cut off, was it from someone trying to get the word out? Some friendly voice desperately trying to warn me before it came? Seen with my own eyes, don't trust them. Exactly what I've been so suspicious of. It could have been masterful control of all things, electronic, practicing its insidious deception to trick me into coming outside. Why can't it get in? It knocked on the door. It must have some solid presence. The door, the image of those doors in the upper hallway as guardian monoliths flashes back in my mind every time I trace this path of thoughts. If there is some phantom entity trying to get me to go outside, maybe it can't get through doors. I keep thinking back over all the books I've read or movies I've seen, trying to generate some explanation for this. Doors have always been such intense foci of human imagination. Always seen as wards or portals of special importance, or perhaps the door is just too thick. I know that I couldn't bash through any of the doors in this building, let alone the heavy basement ones. Aside from that, the real question is, why does it even want me? If it just wanted to kill me, it could do that in any number of ways, including just waiting till I starve to death. What if it doesn't want to kill me? What if it has some far more horrific fate in store for me? God, what can I do to escape this nightmare? There's a knock at the door. I told the people on the other side of the door I need a minute to think and I'll come out. I'm really just writing this down so I can figure out what to do. At least this time I heard their voices. My paranoia, and yes, I recognize I'm being paranoid, has me thinking all sorts of ways that their voices could be faked electronically. There could be nothing but speakers outside simulating human voices. Did it really take the time the 3 days to come here to talk to me? Amy is supposedly out there, along with 2 policemen and a psychiatrist. Maybe it took them 3 days to think of what to say to me. The psychiatrist's claim could be pretty convincing if I decided to think that this has all been a crazy misunderstanding and not some entity trying to trick me into opening my door. The psychiatrist had an older voice, authoritarian but still caring. I liked it. I'm desperate just to see someone with my own eyes. He said I have something called cyber psychosis. I'm just one of a nationwide epidemic of thousands of people having breakdowns triggered by a suggestive email that got through somehow. I swear he said got through somehow. I think he means spread throughout the country inexplicably, but I'm incredibly suspicious that the entity slipped up and revealed something. He said I'm part of a wave of emergent behavior, that a lot of other people are having the same problem with the same fears, even though we've never communicated. That neatly explains the strange email about eyes that I got. I didn't get the original triggering email, I got a descendant of it. My friend could have broken down too, tried to warn everyone he knew against his paranoid fears. I mean, that's how this problem spreads, the psychiatrist claims. I could have spread it too with my texts and instant messages online to everybody I know. I mean, one of those people might be melting down right now after being triggered by something that I sent them, something that they might interpret any way they want, something like a text saying, "Seen anyone face to face lately?" The psychiatrist told me that he didn't want to lose another one, that people like me are intelligent, and that's our downfall. We draw connections so well that we can draw them even when they shouldn't be there. He said it's easy to get caught up in paranoia in our fast-paced world, a constantly changing place where more and more of our interaction is simulated. You know, I gotta give him one thing. It's a great explanation. neatly explains everything, perfectly explains everything, in fact. I have every reason to shake off this nightmarish fear that some thing or consciousness or being out there wants me to open the door so it can capture me for some horrible fate worse than death. It'd be foolish, after hearing that explanation, to stay in here until I starve to death just to spite the entity that might have got everybody else. It'd be foolish to think that after hearing that explanation, I might be one of the last people left alive on an empty world, hiding in my secure basement room, spiting some unthinkable, deceptive entity just by refusing to be captured. It's a perfect explanation for every single strange thing I've seen and heard, and I have every reason in the world to let go of all this fear and open that door. And that is exactly why I'm not going to. How can I be sure? How can I know what's real and what's deception? All these damn things with their wires and their signals that originate from some unseen origin, I mean, they're not real. I can't be sure. Signals through a camera, faked video, deceptive phone calls, the emails, even the television lying broken on the floor. I mean, how can I possibly know that's real? It's just signals, waves, light. The door. It's bashing on the door right now. It's trying to get in. What insane mechanical contrivance could it be using to simulate the sound of men attacking the heavy wood so well? I mean, at least I'll finally see it with my own eyes. There is nothing left for it in here to deceive me with. I've ripped apart everything else. It can't deceive my eyes, can it? As seen with your own eyes, don't trust them, Wait. Was that desperate message telling me to trust my eyes? Or warning me about my eyes, too? Oh my god, what's the difference between a camera and my eyes? I mean, they both turn light into electrical signals. They're the same. I can't be deceived. I have to be sure. I calmly asked for a paper and a pen day in and day out until finally it gave them to me. Not that it matters. I mean, what am I going to do? Poke my eyes out? The bandages feel like a part of me now. The pain is gone. Figure this will be one of my last chances to write legibly, as without my sight to correct mistakes, my hands will slowly forget the motions involved. This is sort of a self-indulgence. This writing is a relic of another time because I'm certain everyone left in the world's dead. Or something far worse. I sit against the padded wall day in and day out, and this entity brings me food and water. It masks itself as a kind nurse, an unsympathetic doctor. I think it knows that my hearing is sharpened considerably now that I live in the darkness. It fakes conversations in the hallways on the off chance that I might overhear them. One of the nurses talks about having a baby soon. One of the doctors lost his wife in a car accident. I mean, none of it matters. None of it's real. None of it gets to me. Not like she does. I mean, that's the worst part. The part I almost can't handle. The thing comes to me, masquerading as Amy. Its recreation is perfect. I mean, it sounds exactly like Amy. It feels exactly like her. It even produces a reasonable facsimile of tears that makes me feel on its lifelike cheeks. When it first dragged me here, it told me all the things I wanted to hear. It told me that she loved me, that she had always loved me, that it didn't understand why I did this, that we could still have a life together if only I would stop insisting that I was being deceived. It wanted me to believe. No, it needed me to believe that she was real. And I almost fell for it. I really did. I doubted myself for the longest time, but in the end, though, it was all too perfect, too flawless, too real. The false Amy used to come every day, and then every week, and then finally stopped coming altogether. But I don't think the entity will give up. I think the waiting game is just another one of its gambits. I will resist it for the rest of my life, if I have to. I don't know what happened to the rest of the world, but I do know that this thing needs me to fall for its deceptions. If it needs that, then maybe, just maybe, I'm a thorn in its agenda. Maybe Amy is still alive out there somewhere, kept alive only by my will to resist the deceiver. I hold on to that hope, rocking back and forth in my cell to pass the time. I'll never give in. I will never break. The doctor read the paper the patient had scribbled on. It was barely readable, written in the shaky script of one who could not see. He wanted to smile at the man's steadfast resolve, a reminder of the human will to survive, but he knew that the patient was completely delusional. After all, a sane man would have fallen for the deception long ago. The doctor wanted to smile. He wanted to whisper words of encouragement to the delusional man. He wanted to scream, but the nerve filaments wrapped around his head and into his eyes made him do otherwise. His body walked into the cell like a puppet, told the patient once more that he was wrong, and there was nobody trying to deceive him. Spooky. Spooky dookie. Holy Kanuki. That one was pretty good. That one was pretty good. Edgelord level 9,000. You think so? It was pretty alright. Yeah, it had a, cool twist at the end. Thank you, Floyd the Fuckbag, for the 666. I sure do appreciate it. Wow. Let's get rid of that strobe, eh? Here's for sticking through that all the way. Yeah, man. That was a long one. Woo, lordy. Let's see here. Let's pull you guys up. Story time is super comfy. Please read more. We'll read some more tonight. Need to space these out because my voice is not great due to a lot of the extracurricular things that I indulge in. And so, read lost episodes by Slime Beast. The music was a little loud. Okay, well, I can crank it down just a hair here. That should fix it for the next one. The twist was he was fucking losing his mind. No. The twist was he was right. That last creepypasta's name was... What the fuck was it? Somebody asked... Psychosis. There you go. It is Psychosis. Let's see here. Read Eric Harris's journal. Okay. We'll get right on that. Music was just right. Well, I'll split the middle. There you go. Music was just right. Music was too loud. Music was just right. Music was too loud. Do The Strangers at some point later on. Okay. Well, I'll look at it. I mean, how fucking long is it? Do. Let's see. The Strangers. Holy cannoli. That's pretty long. That's pretty long. I don't know. I don't know about that one. Read the Declaration of Independence. Okay. We'll do that. Do the Showers for one of these. The Showers. Is that another long one? Why are they always so long? Man, we need some short ones. We need some bite-sized horror. Like, I have one more small one that I could read. I'll have to get crazy, though. The Showers, Part 1. That's not a good sign. Yep. That's fucking hella long, too. How long is too long? I mean, that last one said it was a 22-minute read. It was probably more like a 30-minute read. I'd say that that's about the maximum. And I only want to do one or two of those per show. Because, holy shit, man. Let's see. Let's see. We'll find this shit real quick. There we go. Isn't he beautiful? I think so. Keep away from Pumpkinhead unless you're tired of living. His enemies are mostly dead. He's mean and unforgiving. Laugh at him and you're undone, but in some dreadful fashion. Vengeance he considers fun, plans it with a passion. Time will not erase or blot a plot that he has brewing. And when you think that he's forgot, he'll conjure your undoing. Bolted doors and windows barred, guard dogs prowling in the yard. Won't protect you in your bed. Nothing will from Pumpkinhead. Wow. I like that shit, dude. I like that shit. That's goofy. Come on, man. Come on. That's pretty good shit. It's the poem that inspired Pumpkinhead. The crazy fucking awesome 90s creature feature, dude. The Day I Lost My Faith. That sounds a little too edgy for me. That one sounds slightly too edgy for me. I am going to take a quick break. I'm going to take a leak. I'm going to go grab some perfectly legal tobacco. And when I come back, we're going to continue our quest to try and scare ourselves tonight with some awesome creepypasta. I hope you guys will be here when I get back. If you're not, thank you for hanging out. I'll see you soon. Okay, and we back. Hello, hello, hello. Hi there, and how are you, folks? Your mom's dead? Holy shit. That's a pretty short creepypasta. Everyone needs to make pot legal, because if it doesn't happen, the druggies will kill us. Wow. Who knows what nonsense you're babbling on about? Crazy inanity you're spewing forth from your pie hole, madam. You wanna what? No? You wanna eat a plate of creepypasta? Okay. Well, I don't know if we've got a whole plate of creepypasta for you here, but we've certainly got a smattering, a sampling, if you will. But at the moment, having ourselves a little tobacco break. This is the point where we all hang out, very much like we do on a normal ideology. Wax philosophical, talk about poop balls, ask each other to do a fart. Oof. You need a cape for story time? Yeah. I kind of want to, I want to get some kind of spooky, edgy costume for this, Go with the modern neckbeard crypt keeper kind of feel. What's a Dorby? I didn't know you grinded tobacco. Hey, all the way from the leaf to the pipe. Fresh tobacco. Yes, I do like Sublime. Dress as the dude from Tales in the Hood and be in blackface. Oh, the funeral guy. The coroner or whatever the fuck he was. The guy that owned the funeral home. Yeah. Could be like him. Paul, if you do a DFF on aliens, you should have that crazy guy you brought on DP for perspective, the dude who was kidnapped by the end of his appearance on your show. What? Are you talking about Patrick Coleman? I don't think I can't imagine what we could get out of Patrick Coleman. Do a Lovecraft. Okay. I'll do a Lovecraft. Whoa, look at you guys. Check you out. Huh? What do you guys think about that? Isn't that a fancy little feature? Huh? There you are. Stare into the dark mirror of your own soul. Gaze into the abyss, as the abyss gazes also back into you. All right, that's enough of you guys. That is far more than enough of you guys. Get out of here. Shoo, shoo, shoo. You're sorry. Did getting a glimpse of yourselves for that brief, horrifying moment give you some perspective? Did you see? Did you see? Did you see yourselves, chat? What do you see when you look at yourself? I don't mean like looking at yourself in the mirror before you get ready to go to work in the morning. I mean, really look at yourself. See yourself for what you really are when people aren't watching. Do you ever realize that this person, the person you are right now in the chat, is far closer to the real you than the person you are outside of this chat? Do you ever wonder what would happen if you took this person into the real world? How far would you go? What would you allow to limit your tism then? All right, well, that's enough of that. Just kidding, guys. Just kidding. Read Eternal Undying Love. Okay. Fair enough request. We're, look. Creepypasta is creepypasta. We read some crappy pasta on the last one, and who knows? I mean, well, which selection would you like to hear? Would you like to hear a selection from Eternal Undying Love 1? Eternal Undying Love 2, The Second Coming? Or Eternal Undying Love 3, Serpents in the Cradle? I'll leave it up to the chat to decide. A lot of people saying 2 so far. But it looks like 3 is kind of catching up. Nobody really cares to hear the 1. A lot of 3s now. Yeah. Yep. I mean, I think 3 has pretty much got it solidified here. So let's see if we can't find ourselves a little selection from Eternal Undying Love 3, Serpents in the Cradle. Let's see. Is there any way that I can see inside of this book? Can I get a little preview? Let's see. Eternal Undying Love 3. Yes, we're in the right place. Customer reviews. See all formats and editions. Okay. Paperback is fine. I guess you can get... Okay, so that's the size of it. Wow. I don't know that I can see inside Eternal Undying Love 3 very easily. And I don't have it a copy. All right, I'm out. Yeah, get the fuck out of here. Peace. See ya. Let's see. Maybe. Well, that kind of sucks. Doesn't TJ have a copy? I'm sure I have a copy somewhere. But all my shit is still half in boxes, and who the fuck knows? Yeah, I mean, it could be just that, you know, Amazon does not allow people to peer inside this book because it's rated so poorly. Usually, well, I mean, in a lot of cases. Let's see if I can see inside any of these. Or maybe in a different place. Barnes and Noble. He sells through Barnes and Noble, dude. Wow. Eternal Undying Love by Brett Keane on Barnes and Noble. Average review 2.8. Oh man. Yeah, it doesn't look like Barnes and Noble lets you look inside either. Maybe product details? Come on. Let a brother read. Give me a little taste. Google Books. There we go. Okay. Here we go. Here's Eternal. Okay. Books A Million? Wow. Oh, no. Books A Million doesn't sell Brett Keane. Yep. 2.8 out of 5. I mean, it's probably just like gives you 3 stars to start with. Yeah, I mean the first Eternal Undying Love. I mean, you can get it from Barnes and Noble for $13. I mean, it's a vanity press book, so you know, they kind of print to order, I think. Whatever. You know, it's nice to do creepypastas, and it's nice to just chill sometimes, too. I'm having a good time just hanging out and goofing on the manatee with you guys. But we must dig deeper. Read T.J. X. Paul Lemons. Read I've come to terms with the fact that everything I know is a dream. Okay, we'll give it a shot. Do, 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 do. See how long this is. Oh. Well, that's refreshing. It's not very long. I like it. Let's give this one a shot. Let's see. Remove. All right. I guess this one is called I've Come to Terms with the Fact that Everything I Know is a Dream. Several years ago, I was in a brutal car accident. I was parked in front of a train track, waiting for the train to pass by. I was the last person not to make it across the tracks. For visualization, there was a solid stream of cars on either side. If I'd tried to sneak across, I would have rear-ended the person in front of me before successfully clearing them. I could hear the train approaching, and black and yellow bars lowered in front of me. I'm fascinated by trains, so I was delighted to be so close. Finally getting a front row seat. Train was about a quarter mile from the crossing when the driver behind me accelerated and nudged me forward a few feet. The bars bent and eventually snapped, and I was knocked joltingly onto the tracks. I panicked, threw the car into reverse, trying to back out, and the other car apparently had more horsepower. However, and to my horror, my car door aligned perfectly with the cattle guard on the front of the train. I scrambled to get out of the car, but forgot about my seatbelt. I nearly strangled myself trying to get free. This doesn't really work very well. Let's just go back to that. Thank you. Scrambled to get out of the car, but I forgot about my seatbelt. I nearly strangled myself trying to get free. By the time I unlatched it, it was too late. One fraction of a second of the loudest sound I've ever heard, and then blackness and silence. I was certain I'd died. Didn't feel any pain, and certainly if I'd survived, I'd be in agony. I tried to open my eyes, but nothing would happen. I tried to make a sound, to wiggle my fingers, or do anything, but I couldn't. It wasn't that I was paralyzed, it was more like I just didn't have a body to manipulate. I was just a mind submerged in a pool of nothing. The only sentiment I felt was that I had returned to that state after being gone for a long time, like forgetting how your parents' house smells until you visit home for the holidays. Gradually, I started to have feelings of sensation. Passing waves of warmth, wetness, finally allowed me to determine where the edges of my body were. Almost as soon as I became aware of my physical self, it began to ache. I felt as if every inch of me had been pummeled with a baseball bat, the heavy wooden kind. Even opening my eyes was a spectacular ordeal. I was in a hospital, so I had survived after all. People moved to surround me. Faces that never fully came into focus hovered above my own. Sounds that vaguely resembled speech seemed to reach me through water. It wasn't long before I felt weak again, and my eyes closed. This fading in and out of consciousness lasted for what felt like a very long time, maybe months, though the doctors told me it was only a matter of days. After that, I worked on speaking and swallowing food, which seems silly, but It was actually a challenge at the time. Finally, as more and more casts were removed, I was allowed to sit up, turn my head, for which I was incredibly grateful. According to my family and my then girlfriend Sarah, all of whom were overjoyed at being able to speak with me, I was asleep for several days on end after the crash. I remember Sarah specifically saying she had missed being able to stare at my beautiful eyes. Time passed at an excruciatingly slow pace until physical therapy finally escalated to the point where I could be pushed around in a wheelchair. The doctors were surprisingly hopeful that I'd be able to walk again, but it was what they called cautious optimism. Nobody wanted to tell me I'd be independent again, and then have to admit that they were wrong later. Obviously, I was very hopeful myself, though even transferring from chair to bed was a painful challenge. It was around this time that I noticed I never dreamed anymore. When I slept, I only felt the same nothingness that I immediately felt after the crash. All the days blended together for a while after that. The next memory I can actually separate from the rest is the first time I tried to walk on my own. There were these staff members holding onto my arms and waist just in case I fell, and with their help, I made it all the way across the room on my first try. The doctors said they'd never seen such a rapid recovery, and I was giddy. Obviously, I wasn't out of the woods yet, but soon I was allowed to live at home again with the frequent PT sessions, and after some weeks after that, I returned to work. Life was almost normal for a while, except for a very slight limp in my left leg, the side that the train hit me on. I was feeling pretty normal. It was only after about a month of living on my own that weird things started to happen. First thing I noticed was that I felt an occasional stinging on my right forearm, like a thin needle was puncturing my skin. It was like a tiny little prick, maybe twice a day at most. I figured it was just nerve trauma or something and blocked it from my mind. Feigning ignorance was harder to do when I started hearing things, though. While I was reading in bed one night, I thought I heard Sarah crying. I strained my ears to make sure, and I definitely heard her sobs, but very distantly, like I was submerged in a pool. I made my way downstairs quickly, concerned she had hurt herself or something, but she was just washing dishes in the kitchen. "You okay?" I asked cautiously. "Yeah, why?" she asked nonchalantly. "No reason." Now, I dismissed these oddities as best I could. After all, how could anyone expect to recover from being hit by a goddamn train without some lingering effects? Every so often, mostly when I was trying to fall asleep or sitting in a silent room, I would hear occasional sounds that I couldn't connect at first. Gradually, I determined that they were hospital sounds, stretchers being rolled across tile floors, beeping from machines, rapid chatter between nurses and doctors. Although I figured anyone who had suffered as much trauma as I had would experience some degree of whatever I was experiencing, I decided to bring it up with my doctor. He told me it was perfectly normal for someone in my circumstances, and he could prescribe me a sleep aid if I felt it was necessary. I told him it wasn't a big deal, that I was just satisfied that a doctor could explain my symptoms. The odd glimpses of what seemed to be my past only increased in frequency. When I slept, I finally dreamed again, but it was always the same thing. If I saw anything at all, it was a hospital room. Sometimes there were other people in the room, and sometimes I was alone with the machines. There was one night in particular in which the dream was more vivid and gripping than usual. My eyes opened wearily to see Sarah asleep on the chair beside my hospital bed. "Sarah," I croaked. She jerked awake. "Henry!" She scrambled to my side, clutching on my hand. At this point, it occurred to me I was dreaming. I stared right into Sarah's eyes. I'm asleep right now. She seemed concerned. No, Henry, you're finally awake. I'm right here. It's been so long. Of course you would say that. You're part of my dream, I smiled, amused. I'll probably wake up any second. But as I spoke of, the familiar soreness caught up to me all at once, practically knocked the wind right out of my lungs. Henry, no. Her distress was now evident. I don't know what you're talking about. Stay with me, Henry. Stay awake. Look at me. I shook my head defiantly and closed my eyes, and when I opened them, I was back in my own bed. It was about 3 a.m. I sat awake, pondering what I'd just seen. I thought I heard Sarah crying again, even though I could see her sleeping beside me. When Sarah finally woke up, she rolled over and laid an arm across my chest. Good morning, big guy, she smiled groggily. If I was asleep right now, would you tell me? I asked. What? She chuckled. I mean, that's kind of heavy stuff to drop on a sleepy person. Now, just bear with me. If I was asleep right now, dreaming, would you tell me? Well, I feel pretty real, she noted, patting different parts of her body. Do you think I'm not real? Of course not, I said. We got ready for our day. I just couldn't stop thinking about that dream, though. I noticed when I tried really hard to space out at work and I listened closely enough, I could hear those hospital sounds more clearly. I was naturally concerned about this. That night I went to bed early, and just as I thought, I was transported immediately to the hospital bed. I felt the thin sheets between my fingers. I opened my eyes, and Sarah was reading a book in the same chair as before. I just looked at her for a long time, trying to discern if she was real. And she certainly seemed real enough. She turned the pages with the same flourish that she always had, and chewed on one of the temples of her reading glasses. Eventually she looked up and met my eyes. You're awake again, she gasped. Victoria, Paul, he's awake. My parents entered the room moments later, looking excited. I talked with all of them for a long time. Of course, my parents, too, denied the fact that I was asleep, but that topic passed quickly. Instead, we discussed my condition. I'd been in a coma for almost 3 months with little response. They'd been slowly losing hope for my recovery until my brain suddenly showed signs of activity. And since that time, they'd been visiting me frequently, hoping I would wake up. It seemed a pretty convincing story. But after many hours of talking, I decided to stop. I was legitimately sleepy, of course. They all understood, and I fell back to sleep. Only this time, I didn't wake up in my own bed. I woke up in the same hospital bed a few hours later. I had to think about it for a very long time, but eventually concluded that I must have imagined my miraculous recovery and been in a coma the whole time after all. As you can imagine, it was hard to accept at first. Since then, I've been making a second recovery, which has been slower and less successful than the first. That's why, for a long time, I was mostly convinced that I'm really awake this time. Nobody walks after getting blindsided by a train, at least not without lots of hard work. I've still only left my wheelchair on crutches, and it's been 6 years. Probably sounds like a bittersweet ending, and at one point I agreed. I was prepared to live happily ever after in my wheelchair, and maybe even graduate to crutches someday, except for one thing. When I'm getting ready for bed, after I turn off my lamp, my head hits the pillow, I can still hear them. Faint sounds of a busy hospital. Now, I know that many of you will say, but I'm real. This is real life. Of course you're awake. But that's what you're supposed to say. Nobody's going to tell me I'm fake. You're dreaming. Wake up. I'm still asleep. I've learned to deal with it. I know that nobody I meet during the day is real, but I'm tired, so I just pretend. And that'll have to do. That one was pretty good. Kind of similar to the other one we read. It's kind of a theme tonight. Hello.
Hello.
What's up?
I'm gonna have to go to bed.
You're going to bed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Give me a kiss then.
Okay.
Mwah.
Yeah, it's all watery.
Well, it's Kool-Aid. Or whatever that is. Crystal Light shit.
Does it taste good?
Yeah, it's good. It's kind of tart, which I like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it has 0 calories.
Yay.
Weeb. Oh boy, they love the weeb, dude.
I'm literally wearing your Jude Law shirt.
Yep. So where's Kitty at?
Kitty's with Chelsea right now.
Kitty.
Yeah.
There's a kitty in the house now.
Here's a kitty cat. Cutest little thing.
It doesn't have a name yet.
Doesn't have a gender yet.
Oh yeah, we don't know what gender it is yet. I guess that'll happen after we take it to the vet, right?
Maybe. Depends on how good the vet is at distinguishing that. Because, like, cats are weird and they have, like, 2 holes under their tail. And you can't tell, like, until the balls grow, like, what it is. So.
Where's the peen go, though? Don't they have
like,
a dick?
The peens are, like, really small and they're hidden. They're, like, sheathed. And they're very tiny. And, like...
We'll just have to think of, like, a gender-neutral name.
So, like, they have the butthole, and then the vagina or the penor. And apparently, if it's a girl, the vagina and the butthole are kind of close together. And the boys are a little bit farther apart. So that the balls can grow. But it's really, like, hard to tell until the balls start growing.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
That's more than I ever wanted to know about cat cock. But there it is.
TJ's got a name that he wants to call it no matter what it is.
What, Alvarez?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
That was supposed to be like Dinor's funny name. He just started calling Dinor Alvarez one day and was like laughing so hard about it.
Knowledge is power, Paul. Never forget that. Okay. I'll never forget that.
Alright, well, I should go to bed.
Alright. Good night, honey. Get some good rest.
I'll try. 7 hours tomorrow.
Shitty. Are you off after that?
Yeah, for 3 days.
Cool.
Which I'll probably spend packing. Do you want him out or in? Or door open?
You can do whatever you want with him. He's not going to bug me.
Okay.
Unless he's in here wimping.
Alright, well, I'll just leave the door open then.
Okay.
I love you.
Love you too.
Love you.
Love you too. Bye. Good night. Holy shit. Everybody says good night, Ashley. How nice. Shows the kitty. Kitty's probably very sleepy. It's downstairs with Chelsea. Name it Dinore. Dinore. Can you hear the hospital noises yet? Oh shit, dude. Yeah. Yeah, I could have, if I'd have known how that one turned out, I could have, just had this kind of like fade in slowly. Maybe I'll just leave it on. Or did I turn anything on at all? Am I the only person in your dream world that has the balls to tell you the truth? You are a desiccated husk of your former self. Living, well, I wouldn't call it living, being kept alive on a hospital bed somewhere in the corner of the severe trauma ward. You're checked on twice a day. Long ago, they colostomized you so they don't have to change your shitty diapers anymore. It's a shame. But at least you got me. I'm willing to be honest with you and tell you that I'm a total figment of your imagination. Most of the others won't be. Woo. Hello, hello. Oh, hey, you guys are still there. Cool. Yeah, there's been kind of a cool little unintentional theme to tonight's creepypasta readings that's kind of fun to think about, right? That, just that feeling of everything being an illusion, nothing being real, or questioning that the things that you see being real. Whether it's, this kind of complex about being awake, or it's not getting to you, well, fuck off then. Well, you haven't yet. Serve us up a creepypasta, my friend. Give us the creepiest thing you've got. The creepiest. Well, I mean, yeah. Life is kind of a cruel illusion anyway. Maybe that's why those stories are so fun to read, right? Because we all suspect something like that. I know I suspect some things like that, I'll be honest with you. Not even like the Matrix, but just, simulation theory. The idea that some really super powerful organism has simulated our entire, reality and, kind of observes us all at once. Read Albert Fish, please. Read Albert Fish. I mean, Albert Fish was a serial killer, so you can't really read. You can't really read. All right. Well, we'll give this a try. We'll read an excerpt from Albert Fish's confession. Albert Fish was, of course, a serial killer who ate parts of his victims. Paul, the Amontillado. Yes, the Amontillado. But my dear king's left hand, the niter, is too thick. Your cough, I'm too worried. We'll go back. So here we go. Albert Fish's confession. I brought him to the Riker Avenue dumps. There's a house that stands alone, not far from where I took him. I took the boy there, stripped him naked, tied his hands and feet, gagged him with a piece of dirty rag I picked out of the dump. Then I burned his clothes, threw his shoes in the dump. Then I walked back, took the trolley to 59th Street at 2 a.m., walked home from there. Next day, about 2 p.m., I took tools, good heavy cat-o'-nine tails, homemade, short-handled. Cut one of my belts in half, slit these halves in 6 strips about 8 inches long. I whipped his bare behind till the blood ran from his legs. Cut off his ears, nose, slit his mouth from ear to ear, gouged out his eyes. He was dead then. I stuck the knife in his belly, and I held my mouth to his body, and I drank his blood. I picked up 4 old potato sacks, gathered a pile of stones. Then I cut him up. I had a grip with me. I put his nose, ears, and a few slices of his belly in the grip. Then I cut him through the middle of his body, just below the belly button. Then through his legs about 2 inches below his behind. I put this in my grip with a lot of paper. Cut off the head, feet, arms, hands, and the legs below the knee. This I put in sacks weighted with stones, tied to the end, and I threw them into pools of slimy water you'll see along the road going to North Beach. I came home with my meat. I had the front of his body I liked best. His monkey and peewees, and nice little fat behind to roast in the oven and eat. I made a stew out of his ears, nose, pieces of his face and belly. I put onions, carrots, turnips, celery, salt and pepper. It was good. Then I split the cheeks of his behind open, cut off his monkey and peewees, and washed them first. I put strips of bacon on each cheek of his behind and put them in the oven, and then I picked 4 onions, and when the meat had roasted for about a quarter hour, I poured about a pint of water over it for gravy and put in the onions. At frequent intervals, I basted his behind with a wooden spoon, so the meat would be nice and juicy. In about 2 hours, it was nice and brown, cooked through. I never ate any roast turkey that tasted half as good as his sweet little fat behind did. I ate every bit of the meat in about 4 days. His monkey was sweet as a nut, but his peewees I could not chew, so I threw them in the toilet. Whoa. That sounds like something that would be written for some, really terrible film. He threw away his peewees. Oh, man. What a fucked up world we live in, man. What a fucked up world we live in. Low rent Hannibal Lecter. I mean, Hannibal Lecter's just a made up dude. Like, this guy actually ate him some monkeys and peewees. Threw away the peewee but kept the monkey. I guess so. Man, that's some just fucked up shit. It's like in his confession, they would want to know what the recipe for 4-year-old boy was. Instead of just like, I killed him and I ate him. You know, I, Albert Fish, ate this boy. He thought that as a confession, they would want to know what the recipe was and how so that they could, if they ever got their hands on a 4-year-old boy, to know that just go ahead and throw away the peewees, but eat the monkey. Pretty fucking insane. He wrote another letter to Mrs. Budd, the mom of the girl he ate. Oh, man. Don't know if I can handle any more Albert Fish confessions tonight. Let's just be done with Albert Fish, yeah? Fish was fried by electricity at Sing Sing prison, yeah. Read an excerpt of Panzram. Arsonist, murderer, thief, sodomized over 1,000 men and didn't feel the least bit sorry for it. I mean, there's a lot of examples of that. There's this series of little mini documentaries that HBO did called The Iceman Confessions, where they talk to Richard Kuklinski, who was a mafia hitman and, just brutally slaughtered, people in ways that are just like horrible. He just kind of dryly recounts how one time he really wanted to send a message, so he just tied a dude up in a cave that he knew that there were lots of rats that lived in there, because he knew that eventually the rats would just eat him alive, and he put a camera in there on him and let the rats eat the dude until, there was nothing left. He tells another story real, like, just crazy, about pulling up next to a dude on his motorcycle, right? So Richard Kuklinski is riding his motorcycle, pulls up next to his target, and just as soon as he pulls up, he pulls out his sawed-off shotgun and levels it at the dude and blows his head off. Just from that distance, like you're pulling up next to a guy in the next lane. And just completely turned his head to mist and drove down the street. He tells a lot of, it's just, and listening to him talk about it is really interesting because he's a true psychopath, right? Like Albert Fish was. So in the same way that Albert Fish didn't realize that as a confession, especially a general confession, people would not want to hear how their children were cooked, Richard Kuklinski doesn't understand how other people's minds work. He just never had that empathy. He doesn't know what that feels like. And interestingly enough, kind of connected to the other stuff we've read tonight. What's real? What isn't? Isn't perception reality? Well, if perception is reality, then for Albert Fish and Richard Kuklinski, I guess you eat people. You brutally murder people. You feel no remorse for things that would rack other people with guilt. Pretty cool to think about. Scary cool. Read Mama's Little Goat. It's short, but it's pretty good. Yeah, sure. Mama's Little Goat. Read normal porn for normal people. Nope, not gonna do it, dude. Which serial killer would you want to have a beer with? Wouldn't it be pretty dangerous to have a beer with a serial killer? I guess Eileen Wuornos, honestly. And all the, interviews and stuff I've seen, she seemed like she'd be pretty cool to have a beer with. Just don't try and fucking do anything to her, but sit down, have a beer and a conversation. Eileen Wuornos, dude. Nah, Charlie Manson would just dominate the whole conversation. You could actually have a back and forth with Eileen. Same thing with Jeffrey Dahmer. Like, would I want to? I grew up with a sociopath for a sibling. Probably why I'm a super paranoid person now. I can imagine. You should have some music made by old Charlie Manson to fit with the murderer vibe. He's only 5'2". Yeah, just a short little dude. Received a mysterious package in the mail. It's pretty short and plays with similar themes. What? Oh, that's the name of, Okay, yeah, we'll check it out. I received a mysterious package. See how short it is. Yee! A lot of dialogue, too. I mean, the dialogue is unavoidable sometimes, but this is way too long. We've done some long ones already tonight. It's only 13 minutes, bruh. Alright, let's see. That's when my wife walked in. I don't know. It's too long. It's too long. The Quiet Sky, huh? Yeah. Let's check it out. Sure, we'll give this a try. Because why not? It started when we called out to the stars, into the darkness. We felt so small, tumbling through vast emptiness while clinging to the skin of the world, and without a single reason why. We were curious, yes, but ultimately I think we were just terribly frightened. We were young, so very young. We were children. And like a lonely lost child, we did the only thing we could think of to make it stop. We did what we thought we had to do to make the universe make sense. We called for help. For years, we scanned the sky for a sign. We sent signals to the stars in the darkness beyond. Are we alone? But the skies were quiet. Always so quiet, just leaving us to our own makings. But crying children never cease. Neither did we. We sent calls into every corner of space for decade after decade. We refused to believe no one was out there. They had to be. Yet, for some unknown reason, they never answered. Everyone remembers when that changed. They think it responded to the Arecibo Message from 1974. The response to the Arecibo Message was received almost 3 months ago in 2 separate parts. The first part of the message was received at the Hat Creek Radio Observatory in California. The Allen telescope array picked up what sounded like static interference that continued for over an hour. It consisted of unintelligible screeching and buzzing sounds that continued without pause for the whole hour. The meaning of this message was never discovered, if it had one. The only thing we knew was that the signal's origin came from somewhere in the Hercules constellation, near Messier 13. As soon as that signal stopped, the real message began. We made contact that day, and we asked a question. Who is there? It came not through the radios, but as a voice inside all of our heads, asked the question to all of us. I heard it, my wife heard it, the young heard it, and the old heard it, even the deaf heard it. Everyone, everywhere heard this voice whisper that question in their heads, in every language on earth. I remember it almost too clearly. It asked in that familiar yet indescribable voice that is always there in my mind. It was like one of my own thoughts had gone rogue and decided to speak directly to me. The world seemed to stop as everyone listened for what came next. Where are you? The heavy question seemed to linger in our minds for hours afterwards, and then for days, and then for weeks. That day changed everything. There were the doubters from the very beginning, and the holy ones who claimed that God had spoken to all of us and the time to repent was now. There were those that claimed they'd heard nothing. There were those that claimed that the aliens had given them their own secret messages, and of course, there were those that truly believed that we'd been contacted for the first time by an extraterrestrial race like us, one ready to communicate, ready to lead us out of the dark. We were all wrong. We never made contact with alien life, at least nothing comprehensible or discernible to human understanding. The stars are vast, and in their vastness our voices had touched the ears of something truly incomprehensible, something hungry and malevolent, that voice. We realized our mistake when the ground started to groan. Beneath our feet, everywhere, the ground seemed to just moan. The muffled sounds shook through the dust and dirt below us. No one knew what was causing it, at least not until the calls started coming in. The graveyards were screaming. All at once, the dead had started screaming. Every deceased man, woman, and child was turning in their graves. All the animals did so too. Every dog, every cat, everything that ever walked the earth. The cries of ancient whales shook the seas, and the shrill screeching of birds echoed in the forest. The caskets shook, and the morgues howled. The voices stopped together in an instant, leaving the world in an amplified silence. In their absence, a new sound filled the air. The voice returned. I here, you. It came as a whisper from behind, an ominous yet oddly playful presence that felt so close, but was still truly so far away. It let us breathe in the silence for a minute before it made us a promise. It was a promise we all knew to be true. I am coming. The voice was gone, and the air was again filled with screams, and this time they were from the living. After the voice had gone, we were left to our own devices. Millions panicked, and rightfully so, as chaos took hold of the streets. Many would die in the violence and the gunfire of that night. They'd be known as the raptured before long, and the rest of us the condemned. We could only wait. The screaming dead was only the first of the side effects that were felt as the voice approached. The closer it got, the more we felt it. That first night after the screaming, we noticed the stars bleed for the first time. A section of the western sky had turned black, blacker than night. It was only truly visible because of the ring of stars around it. The light from those stars had turned red, and they seemed to bleed across the sky like food coloring dropped into water. Their light swirled and flowed all around the edge of some unseen mass. I knew then that I was staring into the face of the voice. Our scientists claimed that nothing was there, and that their radar and scans always came up empty. Their telescopes could see nothing but darkness in that section of space. However, the proof was right in front of us every night. That ring of darkness got wider, and more scars bled in the sky. We watched it come. As each night passed, the black spot would widen, and more stars would distort and bleed around it. During the day, a new hell would greet us. The side effects worsened. The day always brought something new. I'm sure most of what happened will go untold and unknown. The animals started disappearing. All of them. No tracks, traces, or bodies were left behind. Pets would run away, some violently so. They all retreated, never to be seen again. The forests were left abandoned, the oceans empty. The air was left silent. The world left seemed empty and lonely. They left like water receding from the shore just before the tsunami breaks. One day, about 2 weeks ago, scientists tried to talk to the voice again. They hoped, perhaps, to reason with it. They told it about what was happening on our world and asked it questions. The scientists begged. It didn't speak. When asked what the voice sent as a response, when asked what the voice... It's a typo, I guess. The next night, the skies lit up with streaks of fire. It was a light for hours, blazoned with orange and red. We didn't realize the effects until the next day when the televisions turned to static and the telephones refused to work. We had sat watching as all the satellites were knocked out of the heavens. After that, reports began, rumors and rumblings, sanity a thing of the past. The air chilled and weighted us down. The voice was nearly here, and everyone felt it. It rained for weeks after the satellites fell. The rain was salty, mired with an unknown filth that turned the grass black. Maybe the satellites tracked something back in with them when they hit the sky. No one knew for sure. All we know is that it fell from the clouds, black as charcoal that blotted out the sun, like liquid ash. Darkness fell upon us for days. When the clouds went away, the skies were empty. There were no clouds, yet the sky hung low and gray. If the sun was anywhere in the sky, it never made itself known. Even it had abandoned us. Every day grew slowly darker and darker until night and day became almost the same. Some people would claim later that they'd seen things in the dark, creatures with gangly limbs, crooked faces, lurking in this corner of their vision. They were tall, white creatures that looked molted or rotted through their transparent skin. Appearances would last for just a second, or maybe two, before vanishing without a trace. Some believed this was the first step in the alien invasion, but the rest of us didn't know what to think. We just knew that nothing that simple or benign. They must have been hallucinations, just more madness to endure, but ultimately as harmless as anything else, as harmless as the screams of the dead, the missing animals, and the dying sky. Appearances slowly increased in duration and number. I think everyone saw them once, at the least, but I don't think a single person would ever guess they were truly here. They never touched nor spoke to anyone, and they certainly never harmed anyone. Most who got good looks at them described them as mournful or sorrowful looking. Some even claimed the creatures watched over them at night, and others claimed that it seemed as if the creatures were sorry for them. One claimed to have even seen one prostrate upon the ground, hands clasped above its head. He said it was praying for us. Prayer was no help. The churches and places of worship that had divided us for so long failed to bring hope of any kind in the end. The voice let them pray and beg for a while, but just days ago the voice ended it all. No one questioned how, for at this point nothing happened that surprised anyone anymore. But on the final day, all books of worship burned. Every last Bible, every Quran, everything. People rushed to their centers of faith but found no solace. The churches and temples had suffered the same fate. If not worse, the people were left abandoned by their greatest hopes. There were rumors of churches all over the world with walls formed from the bodies of those who sought refuge. They were merged to the walls, stuck to them like flies in a trap. They died still pleading for hope, but they were beyond God's help. The rest of us had learned to stop begging. We waited. The final message finally came. From beyond the sky it fell upon us. The voice echoed, and it spoke a simple truth. I am here. There's a darkness beyond the horizon, the likes of which I doubt has ever been seen. It brings with it the screams of countless souls, and it moves fast. The stars are dying now, and I know they'll never be seen again. The light is dying so fast. I leave this not as a warning. No, it's far too late for that. Instead, consider this the last realization, the last humanity will ever know. For we used to wonder whether or not we were alone and lost, but never whether or not we were safe and hidden. The universe is infinite, and our understanding was significantly more than finite. We should have never beckoned to the darkness. Instead, we should have clung to the light, closed our eyes every time we turned to the void. As the final minutes approach, I hold one final truth to be certain. I know now why the skies were always so quiet. Wowee. Okay. That was pretty cool. I like the idea of, some giant just malevolent presence out there in the universe hearing us. That almost put me to sleep. Oh, I'm sorry, T. Jilly. Why don't we just do like a backflip for you? Just stay tuned, man. I'll do a backflip for you in a sec. Long but good, yeah. They're all kind of pretty. They've been pretty long tonight. We haven't had any really good short ones. I'm sorry, Paul. You were talking. Could you repeat everything you just said? Sure. Hold on. Let me just set everything up again, okay? Sorry, man, that you didn't hear that. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to do this one more time for him, okay? Because he didn't see... It won't, whatever. Just hang out. It won't take long. It started when we called out to the stars, into the darkness. Oh, sorry. Hold on. This is called The Quiet Sky. I'm kidding. We're not doing it. Tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. We're all mad here. I mean, look. We've got a... It was a cool kind of... We had a cool theme that developed tonight. This kind of psychological horror, I guess you would call it. Existential kind of horror. There wasn't a whole lot of, and then a spooky skeleton popped out. Or, I know there's a thing in my closet, or a hand reaching out from under the couch. We had a lot of supernatural ones on the first one. Yeah, we had a lot of cosmic horror. Yeah, Lovecraftian horror. Psychological horror. But interesting nonetheless. It's fun how they all... Sorry, I guess I'm going to lose my voice now. So maybe that may need to be the last of our creepypastas for the night. The horror that came out of my butthole. Whoa. Is that a good one? Should I look that one up? The horror that came out of my butthole. Oh, interesting. I already had that one pulled up. The horror that came out of my butthole. I was sitting alone one night, as I often do, playing my old PlayStation 1 console. I was playing Final Fantasy VII, my favorite Final Fantasy game. I had recently restarted the game, and I was about halfway through the first act, when I noticed things were a little different. All of the characters seemed to have glowing red eyes. I never remembered that from any of my previous playthroughs. And Cloud, the main character, looked like he was crying tears of blood. As soon as I noticed these peculiar differences, Barrett, the black guy with the gun on his arm, turned straight towards me, the player of the game, and said, "You gonna shit something out of your poopy butthole, mister?" And you ain't gonna like it, no sir. I was shocked. I stood, my mouth agape, for many minutes before I answered him. Barrett? Are you talking to me? Before I could even finish, he answered. Who the hell else am I gonna be talking to, punk-ass white boy? You gonna shit your pants tonight, boy. The horror gonna come out of your butthole tonight, boy. You gonna know the pain. Then, my PS1 froze. I looked outside of my bedroom window. The sun was going down. I wrote it off as a scratch on the disc or something and crawled into my bed. Fell into a dark, dreamless sleep. I say dreamless, and I guess that was true, except for one thing. Barrett's voice kept repeating to me, You gonna shit a demon out of your butthole tonight, boy. You gonna wake up, and a demon gonna come out of your butthole tonight, boy. I woke up in agony at 3 o'clock in the morning, clutching my gut, which was roiling with an intense pain that I'd never felt in my entire life. I stumbled blindly in the dark towards my toilet, not thinking I was going to make it. Somehow, heroically, I did, but as soon as my cheeks touched the porcelain of the toilet seat, an unholy torrent exploded from my butthole. Weeks worth of liquidy shit filled the toilet almost instantly and started running down around the base of the toilet and my feet. Would that I could have stood up and run out of that stinking place, but I could not, for the torrent of shit continued to flow from my butthole. My vision grew hazy, and in the dim light, I could see the outline of Barrett with his machine gun arm, saying, I told you so. Wow. Did we just write a crappy pasta together tonight? I think we did. We wrote a crappy pasta together. Congratulations, chat. That was fun. The Lonely Stars is pretty psychological if I remember it correctly. I don't know if I want to. We're probably not going to dive into any more of these. We've been streaming for quite some time. 2.5 hours. Jesus. I'll hang for a little while. I'm going to try and find something a little less harsh, because I'm tired of wearing the sunglasses, but the eyes are... Here, let's just do this. Let's kill one. Get out of here. Okay. That's better. Stop it, Paul. I can't keep my boner under wraps for much longer as it is. Okay. Here you go, chat. Stare at the horribleness. Stare deep into your own horrible souls. If I have to look at it, you have to look at it. You know what I mean? That's how I feel. The horror that came out of my butthole too. The French vanilla grand finale. Yeah. Maybe we'll write another one together next time. Maybe we'll make that part of story time. Instead of going and searching for a shitty ass crappy pasta, we'll just write one together. You know what I mean? And we'll do it. We'll come up with a topic. You know? Some characters. How's the move? Pretty decent. We've got most of the basic shit in place. We'll be filming Deep Fat Fried tomorrow, and I hope pretty soon after that to be able to start producing Cinema for Cynics content on a really regular basis. Now that I've got this set up, it's going to be super simple for me to sit down, record a video, edit it right here at my workstation, and yeah. So I'm pretty excited. Are you in a different house than before? Just stay tuned for that. We'll talk about it on Deep Fat Fried, man. I just don't want to. Don't make me do it now, man. Don't make me. I don't want to. Some Lovecraft next time, please. I gotta be honest with you, like, Lovecraft is hard to read. Like, I'm, decent at live reading and stuff like that, but Lovecraft uses a lot of fucking crazy multisyllabic words that you've never heard before. So it's hard to strike a good tone. I mean, I could give it a shot, maybe. Pick one of his shorter stories. Do you have a creepy CB radio story? I mean, I've told a couple of pretty creepy ones. Sometimes people would like do some real crap, like it's just some really like, and I didn't think it was creepy at the time because I felt like it was just somebody doing the same thing I was doing. But, like people used to like to tell you all the time they were coming to get you. And, like a lot of times when you're talking on the CB radio, like late at night and you're stationary, you're getting a lot of truckers, especially where I grew up. There's like a major artery, 99, the 99 freeway cuts right through the heart of my hometown. So it's just like you're getting all of these, long haul truckers going north to south in California or coming into the Central Valley to deliver things. And so, a lot of them would make threats and, I was fucking with them, but it's creepy as an older dude to think about, like, the implications of that. You know what I mean? Just like a bunch of random people who drive through my shitty little town who want to kill me. I remember like a few times too, there were like dudes that would like, their response to the harassment would be to like make some weird sexual pass because I was younger when I started doing it. I guess maybe I sounded like I could have been a girl or some shit. And they'd be like, how about I come over there and fuck you, little girl? How about that? And I'd be like, I'm a boy, faggot. And they'd be like, I don't care. It's like, oh. It's like, kind of a creepy thought. Way more dangerous, probably, than anything your kids are getting up to on the internet these days. Way more fucking local. And that's how Paul lost his virginity. To a crazy trucker. Well, maybe that's true. And maybe it's a lie. Who knows? Well, that's way too... Let's see, what can we do? Can we do like... Yeah. That'll work. Truckers are murderers, and they're rapists. Some of them, I assume, are good people. Whoa, dude, did you just trump truckers? You just Trumpified the truckers. Can you see him transforming as we speak? You're going to go now? All right. Take care. Good night. Yeah, we're not going to do any more creepypastas tonight, so, you know, if you're waiting around for that. The pastas are done. It was fun tonight, though. We had some spooky moments. We gave birth to a masterpiece of our own. Yes, we did. Well, I'm going to wish you all a fine night. Thank you guys for chilling with me tonight. It was a lot of fun. We'll have to do this again sometime. No? I hope you will all join me the next time I do one of these. Or, you know, just a regular old from the phone sitting in the yard ideology stream. I see a lot of names in here tonight from that. So, thank you guys for always being willing to hang out no matter what time of day or night I come to you. And I will catch you guys next time. Peace.